like just going to the beach, and I was young. Wasn't real good at fishing, and they put me on this fishing pole that I'd never used one like it before. It was like the open reel. So like I go to like reel it out, and I pull back on it, and I go, stop! And I like look back, and I'm like, what's wrong with you? And I've like hooked him in the net. And he didn't get mad, like he just like pulled it out and just kept going. We kept fishing, but I never got to go fishing with him again. But then he started taking me like to the stillboard shoots with him. And like he'd always make sure that my gun was sighted in and like take care of that and let me use his gun. And so like those are my favorite memories with him.
Didn't you beat him a couple of times when at the stillboard shoot?
I'll tell you what, George in competition, he'd get you into paintballing or extreme sledding or whatever it was, and if him and Buddy got into it, they went all out, no matter what they did. I remember I got too good at paintballing and started taking out everybody. So sure enough, while I'm gone, so I live up north and I just come to down south to visit. And while I was gone, him and Buddy went out and got top of the line Tippmans, Bushbuster paintballs, you know, because I got too good. You know, I was taking them out. That just could not happen.
Those are the ones that we used to get in target practice.
Oh, man. Yeah, they didn't like me taking them out much, so they went top of the line and just started whooping us.
I'll continue with the paintball stories. We go out to Buddy's and having the big paintball party, and everybody's out in the woods, and they're like, let's play capture the flag. Well, nobody bothers to explain the rules to Lana about capture the flag. So they're all out, you know, hiding, you know, and they're like, all you gotta do is run for the flag, get the flag waving in the air. So I'm like, okay. So I get out there, I get the flag, and I'm waving it, and they're just shooting. I mean, just pounding me with paintballs. So I'm like, but I got the flag! They're like, you gotta run back to base, Lana. Really? But I do have to tell you, since Sherry wouldn't do it, when we would go to doctor's appointments, I took George to the doctor's appointments when Sherry couldn't. And so the funny stories that, you know, George would tell us funny stories, but he was kind of embarrassing sometimes, you know, and a lot of you know George, I know, so. But we'd be sitting in the doctor's appointments, and it's real quiet in radiology, and George would be sitting there, and he'd go, in the middle of our radiology appointments, and I'm like, people staring, and I'm just like, oh please. But, and also Sherry, like Sherry said, but he would, when we'd go, you know, he's like, I don't want no damn wheelchair. Don't give me no damn wheelchair. I don't need no damn wheelchair. And I'm like, okay. So we'd get in there and sit down, and he'd be okay, you know, walking in there just fine. The nurses come out. Well, George, honey, you need some help? And he's like, yeah, baby. Give me your arm. So yeah, when Sherry and I were around, we were just like, don't touch me. But when the nurses, it was like, yeah, baby.
That was the voice I got.
Well, sometimes George was hard of hearing. I swear I introduced Erica, my wife, for 20 years a million times, but for some reason he kept hearing sugar tits.
Yeah. That was probably my first introduction to George and Buddy, was I go, and you know, I don't know, and I'm like real shy at this time. I mean, really shy. And so the first time I walk into the house, George walks up, grabs a handful, says, hey! I'm like, please, John. So that's just some funny stories I had about George.
Oh, go on, Tim. You know a couple.
Can I add something on to this, what Lynn was saying? So at the doctor's appointments, at get them a gift. So he got him a plant, a really nice little piece of it, and the biggest box of chocolate I've ever seen. It was like, you know, this big, and a card. So he said to me, you take it and you go around back and bring it in. And so, Joshua. So he goes back and he was done faster than he expected. So he comes back out and he goes, you, let's go around back with that. I'm like, what? So I did the you, go around back, and so he, anyway, it was very sweet. They loved it. Yeah. Robert, you can continue the sandhill story.
Oh, I just remember you guys going over the hill and yelling, "Hey, Robert!" I remember that the apron on it was bent like this, but
I'll go. Okay. Mom and Dad been together since I was 2. So I was in a house of 4 boys. So I was the little princess with Dad. He would go to the auction and he would buy me porcelain dolls and bring them to me. I had tons of them. And I remember one time he went and bought a bunk bed, and there was 2 different bunk beds he bought. He bought one for the boys and one for me. And the boys, he bought the bunk bed that he bought for me, had a water bed at the bottom of it. And the boys were fighting, "We want that bed." He's like, "No, that's for sister." Boys, that's not fair. So he would, you know, and I would go sit on his lap, even up until the day he died. I would sit on his lap. "Daddy," you know, and he, "What do you want?" "Dad, I just want a hug. I love you." "Yeah, right. What do you really want?" With all my friends, I got every one of them to call him George, every one of them. He would chase them around. He would kiss them. He would lick their faces. I would. It's a wonder I had any friends. Because everyone did that too. I had one friend I got to try Dave's insanity sauce because Dad always liked hot stuff. And I said, "Stick your finger in that pizza light." So she did. "That's hot, that's hot." A few hours later, she forgets. She rubs her eyes. So her eyes are on fire. She's burning. Dad's yelling at her, "Get her some milk." And Mom says, "We can't put milk in her eyes." You know, just odd things, you know, and he would be grouchy, but he could be the sweetest too. He would, you know, even up until the end, I would come in, he would roll his eyes, and I'd say, What are you doing here? Don't waste your gas. You don't need to be here. I'm fine. Everybody thinks I'm gonna die. You know, and one point I walk in with Jason and he starts yelling at me, "I told everybody to leave me the F alone. I don't want nobody here." And I just sit down and I'm like, "Dad." He said, "What?" And I said, "You do it for us, didn't you?" "Would you?" "Well, yeah, but that's not the point." "Yeah, it is the point. That's the point. I'm sorry. I don't need to be grouchy. Can you go get me this? I need this. I'm hungry. I need a drink. Fill my water. Give me food. But you don't need me here. Just go do it." "Okay." And I did like Sherry did. I'd make excuses. "Oh, I had to go see my friend Ashley." "Oh, I had to go to Whitehall for something." "I don't need to go to Whitehall. I live in Unionville." And he's like, "Oh." You know? Dad.
I remember when I first met George, I thought, "Carla, what in the world are you thinking? This guy is an asshole." But George, even though he was kind of a little guy, he had a presence that could fill the room. And I really appreciate the fact that he loved my sister so much. And he loved her children. hope they're sitting somewhere playing cards, and I hope Carlos just whooping his ass. He was a hard kind of guy in a lot of ways, but every once in a while, if you were lucky, you got to see like this gooey little warm center that you had that you didn't show very often. But it was there, even though got to see the rough, hard stuff most of the time. You did have that gooey little soft spot. And the love that he had for the people that he cared about was when you got to see that little part of it. So Carla, wherever he goes hard, you keep kicking his ass and keeping him in line.
Well, I'm sure I could go on with stories all day if you want. Well, one of the ones I remember is me and him went down. He got me into doing all kinds of things. I mean, he's got me into fishing. He got me into showed me how to work on cars. He got me into going to learn how to steelboard shoot. I know when we first started steelboard shooting, he told me, well, since you're coming over here to do this, why don't we both bet $1 on each time we shoot? There's 10 shots, and he's like, and whoever wins the shot, they get the $2. Okay, I'll do it. I'm not scared. Oh, that first year, I'll tell you what, I bet you he took every dollar I had every day. I mean, from Tim and TJ back there, I know you guys can back me up on this, but as the years went by, these last couple of years, he wanted to stop betting $10. He just, I mean, you guys know, and I've even beat you a couple times, TJ. I was doing pretty good these last couple of years. And yeah, he just kind of, I will admit, just like Carl said over here, he does not like to lose. He just, that was one thing he could not handle. And I beat him at cards, I beat him at shooting. Never could beat him at fishing, though. That was one thing that
I beat him at fishing.
every time we go fishing, he always, for some reason, would beat me. Except the very last time me and him went fishing, neither one of us caught even a fish, got 5-0. That kind of made him mad. So, for the rest of that spring, he didn't really want to do no more fishing. He wasn't real happy about the fact that we just couldn't catch nothing. But, all I can say is he's really, over the years, he's taught me quite a bit. I really did love the man. He is going to be missed.
Go on with Robert's fishing story. Me and Mom and Jenna and Darlene all went fishing. They wanted to have a fish fry on Sunday. So Saturday we decided we're all going to go fishing. So Mom and Darlene and Jenna and I and Dad and Jason went fishing. We go fishing. We come home. We have a streamer full of fish. We put it in a trash can full of water on the front porch. We go back. We get another streamer full of fish. Big fish, and put it in a trash can full of water. Jason and Dad come home with little bitty fish about this big. Well, we didn't want to have fish fry, so we figured we better keep everything. We didn't get nothing. You didn't? No. I look at my husband, I said, Jason, go look in that trash can. He goes, holy shit, George, they got a trash can full of fish! We took lots of pictures. They were not happy. They didn't even go fishing with us again. They're like, no. We're done.
Anybody else? Guess I'll talk. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead,
Just want to let you all know that whoever you are, Papa will love you till the day you die.
I had sat down all this week. I tried to keep notes. So I got a list here. try to get to these. I was fortunate enough, I remember when Gloria introduced Pops to Mom. Me and Gloria and Pops actually went to a football game. Was that? Yep. And I don't know, I was 8 or 10 years old. I can't remember how old I was. I was awfully young. And then Mom and Pops got together. Pops had this 500 Ford truck. You remember that? You know, and first thing he did was he went and traded it for a station wagon. Because he couldn't haul all those kids in that truck. That was a nice truck. It was a real nice truck. The first thing he did was give up his truck. And so growing up with Pops, he taught me how to, of course, we went fishing. Lots of time we went fishing Cicero. He taught me how to hunt. Bought me my first gun. It was a plastic stock 22. We went squirrel hunting. And he said, you sit underneath this tree here, and I'm going to go sit underneath the tree over there. You see any squirrels up there, you shoot them. I sat there all day and never seen one squirrel. I said, he said, well, what do you think about squirrels? I said, yeah, I don't think I like it. Got boring. Okay, so he bought me a 410 and said, we're going to go rabbit hunting. So we went rabbit hunting. I really liked rabbit hunting. That was our thing. But he bought this, after I got pretty good at rabbit hunting, he decided he was going to buy a 12 gauge. He bought this double barrel 12 gauge. It was an old one, had the single trigger on it, but you had to pull back a little bit and pull back the rest of the way. And he said, well, I got this 12 gauge. I want you to shoot it, see if you can handle it. So let's start hunting with that 12 gauge. He loaded both barrels and cocked it back. And he handed it to me. He did say, just pull back a little bit. So I pulled it all the way back and both barrels shot. Knocked me on my ass. And he just laughed at me. So I'm scared to shoot 12 gauge after that, but I finally come around and started shooting 12 gauge. We hunted a lot of times up there. We lived in Eagle County at the time. We'd hunt them tracks, keep you in bushes. Kenny would go with us sometimes back then. I got along with this. We Pops also go fishing out there at the club quite a bit. Caught me smoking. That was a big deal. We lived in Arcadia at the time. And I just went down and bought a pack of Marlboro 25s. They just come out with them. And I had them down in front of my pants. He caught me around the corner smoking, so he took me in the house. And I thought Mom was going to punish me. I didn't think, he was going to have me, because he typically didn't. He let Mom give whoopers and stuff. So she sat down and she said, what am I going to do with you? Pop said, make me smoke the whole pack. She said, well, if you're going to smoke that whole pack, you're going to get his whipping. I said, yeah, I can do that, hell. About the third cigarette, though, I said, I'll take the whipping. I got whipped. We moved to Owen County. Lived in Westfield, Arcadia, and Eagledale. When we lived in Owen County, I thought we was going to a whole different world, because Westfield was just so different. Living in Westfield and coming to Owen County. All I seen was big old ditch on each side of the road. I mean, how does anybody drive down here and not go off the ditches? Big old cabins. But we learned, we got down here. Up there, I didn't have to cut wood and carry wood and push mow 2 acres a yard. The trash was with a dumpster not too far outside the house. Down here we burned our trash, so I learned real quick what it was like living in the country. It wasn't no fun. And then after I graduated and moved out, they went and bought a gas furnace and a dishwasher and a frying pan. And these guys didn't have none of that pain and misery I had to go through.
You were back.
But it was good.